Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's do one more hour before I completely pass out in the studio. This is going to be a great time. The best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas, also streaming on the Odyssey app. If you haven't downloaded the Odyssey app, AUDACY, it's got a great rewind feature on there, too. So if there's a show that you just happen to have missed, you can back it up. Really neat little app. And, of course, terrific shows from all around the world. So we would highly suggest you download it, and you will be a much happier person than I am right now. But we're talking pro wrestling. We got Phil Stamper from the Wrestling Revolver back for hour number 2. Phil, how are you, sir?
I am well. Well, at least better than you're doing right now.
Yeah, you got that right. And then we also want to welcome in our other guest this hour. Always thrilled to have him join us. He is the senior editor over there at WrestleZone.com. WrestleZone.com, as Mark Hoke failed to notice on the Twitter this morning. Matt Black is with us. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm sorry that you're not, but we'll get through it together. We got 1 hour to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how are you doing, by the way, Matt? How's everything going?
I am happily alive, which is more than I thought I would be a month ago. So let's go. I haven't been on the air to do anything like this in probably almost 2 months now. So yeah, this is good. This feels a little bit of normalcy again, and I'm very happy about that.
Well, we're happy to have you, Matt, and glad you're doing okay. So
I appreciate it.
You got it. You got it. Well, I want to start with an interesting spot here in hour number 2. Because last night we had a little fight, right? We had a little fight with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. And yeah, it wasn't much of a fight, and I won. I wish I had put money on that thing. I really do, but I won bets with so many people that said Mike Tyson was going to win that fight. And I'm like, he's 58. Come on. It's not going to happen. But how it relates to the pro wrestling world is Raw is heading to Netflix. And last night during the show, things didn't go that well for a little bit on the live stream. And I would imagine there are some points of concern on all sides that, wow, if we have a big WWE broadcast on here, what's going to happen? And Netflix may have gotten a big break by doing this first before they started broadcasting Raw, because obviously with Raw on there, it's going to be a lot of people tuned in from around the world when that broadcast comes up. So let me start with you, Matt. Did Netflix and WWE catch a break seeing that there might be a streaming issue on Netflix here?
I would like to hope so, but let's not forget about the elephant in the room, and that is they are broadcasting multiple NFL games on Christmas Day. So if you're talking about an entity of fans that are not going to put up with what happened on Friday night on Netflix, it's going to be the NFL fandom. So having a month to get this fixed before those games air, very good. WWE, I'm sure, is thrilled that these two things are guinea pigging their lead into Raw in January. And let's not forget, outside of the United States, Netflix gets everything WWE. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, premium live events. WrestleMania 41 will be on Netflix everywhere outside of the United States. So at that point, well, if they're not doing well, we're all going to be really thankful that we have Peacock, which is something I probably wouldn't have said a few years ago, because Peacock's running pretty smooth as of late, you know, when it comes to their premium live events. So we might be sitting pretty watching WrestleMania on Peacock, while the rest of the world is online complaining that WrestleMania is buffering for all 4+ hours of the show. So Yeah, I'm hoping Netflix got a wake-up call on Friday night, and I'm hoping that they are going to adjust ahead of the NFL games, because I think the NFL games will be the true test on Christmas. If those things are the same thing like the Paul Tyson fight, Raw might be in trouble. The only saving grace is I don't think WWE Raw is going to get the audience that NFL got, and the NFL will get on Christmas Day, or what the Paul Tyson fight got on Friday. So WWE might get lucky, because maybe if they just got a WWE audience on Friday, maybe the servers wouldn't have broken.
Mm-hmm. So
they said Netflix put out a press release that they probably shouldn't have been proud of yesterday, that said over 60 million households or whatever worldwide watched Friday night's fight. Raw's not going to get 60 million people tune in on any Monday night. Maybe somewhere between globally 5 to 10 million is somewhere that's possible, but they ain't getting 60. NFL might. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next month and a half leading into Raw on Netflix.
Phil, your thoughts on this?
I mean, they're also doing the Thanksgiving Day games, I thought, on Netflix. I thought I had seen that. I thought that was one of the commercials. Maybe I was blending holidays. But you're right. I was pulling up the numbers. And so, yeah, they estimated 65 million for the fight. In the NFL, there's an average viewership of 17.9 million a game. At least that was the statistic in 2023 season. So even compared to NFL, they're not getting as high as the Logan Paul Tyson fight got. So maybe there'll be some grace. But Peacock was also not without its problems when they started their transition. The network, when the WWE Network first started, it was not without its issues and problems. So, I think you're going to see this growing pain. WrestleMania by far on Netflix will have trouble because even comparatively to, like you said, Raw is not going to get 65 million. They might get as high as, a 5 or 10 million. Well, actually, I want to say more on later viewings, potentially for parts of it. But WrestleMania will far surpass that, I feel. So they just have to up the bandwidth, up their server space, whatever they have to do. I'm not all that on the technology. Whatever they're going to need to do to up it, even if it's a temporary fix just for the capacity for that viewership that particular time.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see. Like I said, I think WWE may have caught a break with this happening so that they know, okay, everybody's got a little bit of work to do here. So I just thought it was interesting that all that happened last night. And now, with going on Netflix, I mean, that's one of the disadvantages of going on to a site like that. It's a way different ball game. So we'll see. Did you guys pick the fight right, by the way?
I didn't watch it. I don't watch any of Paul's fights because I think all this stuff's rigged to begin with, and I think it's all for spectacle. I think they're doing WWE. Some would argue they're doing WWE better than WWE does WWE right now, because they're getting all the big numbers and they're making box office money every time they do one of these events, and every time people walk away from it upset and angry. That was terrible. I'm never watching it again. And then every time Paul has another fight, everybody watches it again, and everybody gets angry. So I'm never watching this again. I won. I binged Cobra Kai. And instead, I was just like, I'm not interested in this. I'm going to catch up on Cobra Kai. And I felt like I won the night because I just got to watch my timeline be angry while I was watching, entertaining television.
With some probably better scripted fights.
Yes.
Better admittedly scripted fights, I should say.
Oh, my God. That's you guys are something else. I'll tell you what. And of course, we're on the Mark Hoke Show here with Matt Black from WrestleZone.com and Phil Stamper from the Wrestling Revolver. Having a blast talking a little pro wrestling for you. Now, we got Full Gear coming up this weekend, guys. Pretty interesting pay-per-view. We were discussing a little bit of the issue of who's the bad guy and who's the good guy in all these matches because we can't tell, but that's okay. Let me start with you, Phil. What matches are you most looking forward to on the Full Gear card. Do you have any thoughts about what you're excited to see?
You know what? I'm gonna. I don't know, because I don't even think I know the full card, if I'm being completely honest. Just in my own viewing has not been great this last week, or last few weeks. You know, I want to be excited for Strickland and Lashley, and I'm not. I feel bad for that. I like both guys. I just, for some reason, this match isn't. I like what they're building. I like the antagonism, but it almost feels like
rushed.
I forgot their AEW name. A little bit rushed, but I feel like it's more like the Hurt Syndicate versus Prince Nana than it is Strickland. I feel like they've gone after Nana a lot, even on social media. Like there was at the big event in the it's a New York fan convention autograph signing that happened last weekend. There were social media clips of them going after Nana, who was signing autographs there. So I feel it's been more about that. You know, of course, I want to see what happens with Moxley, but I kind of like what we were just talking about. I hope he runs roughshod right through Orange Cassidy, which will piss everybody off, because that's supposed to be that's the main event. So,
a squash might not be. It might make some people mad, but it might send a statement. Maybe people start hating Moxley. Matt, what do you think about this Full Gear card coming up? I mean, there's a lot of interesting matches on the card.
I think as of now the card's pretty stacked. I'm sure they'll add another match or two this week, but I'm excited for what we're gonna get. I don't foresee Cassidy beating Mox. I think that's Darby's spot to have. I think Darby will beat him, and then you got to worry about the potential Christian Cage cash in right afterwards, which may be thwarted by a returning Adam Copeland. I don't know, just spitballing. I think Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher is going to freaking be awesome. I'm looking forward to Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander, because I think this might be Mercedes' best pay-per-view match since signing up with AEW. I think there's a lot of potential for that match. I think Perry and Garcia, especially after the storyline that took place on Collision last night,
that was
has
fun.
A lot of heat behind it, and that should be a lot of fun. I think that's probably going to be the only title change of the show. I think Garcia is going to win. I think Garcia is going to win the TNT title next weekend. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. And I mean, honestly, if you're not hyped, just watch that 8-minute plus November Rain video package that closed Collision last night. That's all about, Full Gear. And I think you'll be more hyped for the show, seeing everything, all the build and everything that's gone on condensed into like an 8-minute video package, which is funny to call it a video package of 8 minutes condensed, but it worked perfectly with the November Rain song. Definitely old school ECW type vibes when they used to use music that they didn't actually have the rights to. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. I think Full Gear is going to be very good next weekend.
Yeah, the Mox Cassidy match seems like Mox is going to probably roll through that. I wouldn't be surprised on that one. I would agree. Ospreay Fletcher is looking pretty good. The Jack Perry one, I don't know if Jack's going to lose the title or not. I have a feeling that might drag out a little bit. But if you didn't
he doesn't have the Bucks to back him up anymore. And Okada's preparing for the Continental Classic. Perry's on his own. I think if there's a time to pull the trigger, it's now. And I think that will end up leading to Perry joining up with Moxley, because I think they planted the seed to that a few months back. If you remember, Moxley confronted Perry and said, "I don't care what anybody else says about you. I think you're a good kid." And he left him be, and he didn't attack him. Mm-hmm. I think Perry being abandoned by the Bucks and Okada off doing the Classic, when Perry loses, I think he's going to find himself with the Death Riders, and I think that's going to be a catalyst for the Young Bucks being, on the babyface side of things when they eventually return next year.
Oh, that makes sense. Phil, you're nodding your head on that.
Well, I see the babyface thing. I totally see when the Bucks return, they're going to be babyface. On the Jack Perry side, I took that at the time as being more of a CM Punkish reference, and Mox side and like, hey, you're the boy, you're the company guy, like you're with us. Kind of more so than planting a seed, but saying it that way in retrospect makes it go like, oh yeah, can totally see that as a potential build opportunity. MJF Roderick Strong has some potential. Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay is going to be amazing. I think I'm not so sure about AJ and QT. AJ has AJ.
Oh, thank God that's the It's just the pre-show. We don't even need to watch it if we don't want to.
I will say people forget that, and maybe didn't know AJ used to wrestle before. So this isn't like the first time ever he stepped inside of a wrestling ring. It's been a minute since he stepped inside of a wrestling ring. That one makes me question. I'm sorry, Mercedes Moné can't wrestle her way out of a wet paper bag anymore. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Have you seen her New Japan stuff over the past few months?
Right. That's because they're carrying her.
I think I think they've just paired her with the wrong people in AEW.
And maybe that's fair.
Because I thought she had a great match with Willow when she started out, and then you were pairing her with people like Britt Baker. And Britt's rusty, and she's been out of the ring for a long time, and I just don't think they had any chemistry whatsoever. I think Mercedes will shine next weekend against Statlander. I really do.
And my big, I guess, and that was too harsh of a comment. I guess let me backtrack that just a little bit.
Too late.
For someone who's at the caliber of the place that she is at and puts herself to be, then she should be able to carry a match against a competitor who isn't at her skill level. And I don't think she has that skill yet. I think when she's partnered with somebody who is also tremendously talented, she can do well with somebody who's tremendously talented because she's leveraged against that.
Well,
versus somebody who that she needs to help bring that out of. I don't think she has that skill set.
I would argue that she used to have that, because she got the best match out of Ronda Rousey of Rousey's entire WWE career, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I think it might be a problem. She worked a lot in WWE, consistently, on the road, all the time, several matches a week. I don't know if she's working consistently enough in AEW to be able to do those type of matches. When you're only working maybe one match a month or less, you might not be able to do the things that you used to be able to do when you were working 3, 4, 5 nights a week. And I think that those kind of things play a factor into some of the performers in AEW who don't work as much as I believe that they should. And I definitely think Mercedes should be working more consistently on weekly AEW programming than they have her working right now. And I'm hoping that's something that changes in 2025.
But kind of to that point, I feel bad. I did not intend to go down this path. Mercedes worked hurt a lot in the WWE for a long time. When she had that match with Ronda, that was a match that they had the opportunity to work through for like a couple of weeks before they got to have that match, where I don't feel that's what they're doing here. And so it is a different product, different caliber, different everything. And so, yeah, I think she has struggled a lot more. Or even in New Japan, I was here when there was more working through things well in advance before here we go. And I think she is struggling. That's just where I'm at.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And now with what we're hearing that AEW is going to be taping Collision, were you guys surprised to hear that? Because apparently the rationale is they want to cut down everybody's travel time. And I'm kind of like, wow, you're not traveling that much anyway. But do you think it's a good thing that they're going to be taping Collision and the results are going to be out there 2 days ahead of time on the show?
It's off and on. I mean, ever since Collision started, there's probably 1 week out of the month they've taped Collision on Thursdays. This isn't a new thing. They're just going to continue. Sometimes they'll be on Thursday, sometimes not. And a lot of people believe, and I'm not sure I'm in this circle, but there's a lot of people who believe that when the NBA season ends and TNT finally drops NBA when it moves over to Amazon, a lot of people in my circles believe that Collision will be moved to Thursdays on TNT. So it'll be Dynamite on TBS on Wednesdays and Collision on Thursdays on TNT. So these tapings on Thursdays, when they're happening, instead of running live on Saturdays, might just end up being, the normal status quo after the NBA season is done.
And I was getting more in the impression that they were going to eventually phase out of Collision. So this was like maybe the stopgap measure. And I mean, and right now, so many of their own talent, and, we've been saying this for a while, that roster is so stacked and so it has so many people on it that, get rid of one extra day that everyone is out there when half of them don't feel like they're being utilized, put them all on one day, so then they can take other bookings on a weekend when they would get the more majority of their bookings, and give them that opportunity to be out there in the public eye and get more exposure and get more content that then they can utilize for some of their other programming opportunities.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, we'll see how that all turns out. And we're also going to head to a break real quick. Just want to remind everybody that, look, you can bet on wrestling. You can bet on AEW Full Gear and all these really fun PLEs and whatever you want to call them. Just go to my page at markhokeshow.com and click on the betonline.ag link. Get you a $500, get you a 50% matching bonus up to $1,000. So I can hand you $500 right now that you can bet on wrestling and any other sport, by the way, on betonline.ag. And they've also got poker and all sorts of fun stuff. So just once again, go to markhokeshow.com, click on the BetOnline AG link and put in the code BOL1000. It's BOL1000. And you can throw a little money down and make it even more interesting with your friends when they are wrong. It's always a blast. All right, stick around, everybody. We'll be right back with more on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. It's the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. Phil Stamper, Matt Black, and a whole lot more. We'll be right back.
.101.5 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, let's keep this party rolling. The best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. 101.5 FM is the talk of Las Vegas. We're also out there on that Odyssey app. Make sure you download that app, AUDACY. And, of course, we're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you want to get into the chat box, say hi to us. We would certainly appreciate that. Guest today, it is Phil Stamper from the Wrestling Revolver and Matt Black from WrestleZone.com. Gentlemen, we're always happy to have you along for the ride. Thank you so much. And we'll just let you guys just not say thank you. But no, I'm just kidding.
I was muted and I said thank you. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God!
Thank you, man. I just didn't. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to talk over you, man.
Oh,
we know you're struggling. We know you're.
Yeah, exactly. Like the last thing I want to do is talk over you right now. I know you're not feeling well.
oh.
So we're here to ramble and just try to get you through this. So you can go home and go to bed.
I love you guys to death. I really do. Well, we mentioned a little bit about the Women's U.S. Championship tournament in the first hour, but wanted to get your thoughts on this actual bracket now. Of course, we already saw Bayley knock off Candice LeRae and B-Fab to get her spot in the semis. We have other three-way matches, Bianca Belair, Chelsea Green, Blair Davenport in one, Jade Cargill, Michin, and Piper Niven on the other side of the bracket, along with Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and Elektra Lopez. Who do you think would be the best inaugural U.S. champion? And what kind of mayhem do you think is going to happen as a result of this tournament? Matt, who should be the first U.S. women's champion?
It depends on what they're going for. If they're looking to immediately establish the title as something that's extremely important and that is something that everybody should be going after, it probably should be Bayley. But if they're looking to establish it as a mid-card women's championship, this is the title you want to win, like the Intercontinental title was back in the day before you stepped up to the main title, it should be somebody like Naomi. So I'm not really sure what they're going to – I'm not sure what WWE's plan is. I'm also a little bit surprised this isn't a dual-branded championship. I expected women from Raw and SmackDown in this tournament to be competing for this title, and the fact that they kept this all to SmackDown makes me wonder if we're months or weeks away from a women's Intercontinental Championship being introduced on the Raw side of things. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this plays. I think we're going to get Bianca and Bayley at each other's throats because they've been teasing that for months. So I think Bianca's going to advance. And I think, if I'm remembering the brackets correctly, probably Tiffany Stratton and Naomi. Unless they're in the same match.
They're in the same match. So
they're in the same match.
Yeah, the other side of the bracket is Jade, Michin, and Piper Niven, and then it's Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and Elektra Lopez.
Okay, so I would say Michin and Naomi should be the two from that side to advance. So you're either looking, like I said, you're looking at it in terms of an old school Intercontinental title to World Championship elevation on one side with Michin and Naomi, or you're looking to firmly establish this as a very important title with a Bianca or a Bayley. So it's gonna be interesting to see what direction WWE wants to take things in.
Phil, what do you think?
I'm right on board with everything Matt has just said. I'm like the Women's Intercontinental Championship is going to be coming. Let them do this first, then they'll do something over at Raw. The only thing I have a question mark around, because there's sort of this whispering of like, really, where is Jade fitting in the picture entirely? You know, they put a lot of energy in developing who Jade is, and I will say, very admittedly, I watch less SmackDown than I do some of the programming, and part of me is like, do they do this with Jade to sort of recapture a little bit of that, you know, that interest, the building story of Jade to then capitalize later on? That's what I don't know. But I agree. I agree with everything else. I think Bayley seems like the choice because of, you know, look at the experience, look at her credentials. While, you know, if Bayley holds it, this means so much, and to her history too. Like, wow, this is important. Or do you use this as an opportunity to build somebody else up? You know, I wasn't going Naomi because I hold Naomi in kind of the same esteem as I do a Bayley. Like, her holding it too would be up there. Is this where you go, you know, Piper Niven? Like, we've seen a lot of what you can do, and people are really excited about you when you come out. This is Piper's opportunity. You know, I feel like there could be something more to play with potentially to then bring up another star to a higher level.
And nobody's talking about Chelsea Green on this. The internet wants Chelsea Green to win this title so badly. It's unbelievable. I'm wondering if they're not going to be doing something to set up, maybe plant some seeds between Jade and Bianca in this tournament. That one of them costs each other a match or something along those lines that is going to create more friction between the two. But honestly, I don't know if that's a good idea.
I think WWE is laser focused on Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania 41. I think that's the long-term plan. I think that's where they want to go. I think Jade will be the one to turn on Bianca. Might happen in the Rumble. But I think that's where WWE wants to take this. And I don't think they believe that either of them need a singles championship to have that match. And Bianca's talked a lot in the media as of late of how important she believes it is to have a big women's feud at WrestleMania Climax without a championship involved. So I think she's been laying the groundwork in the media for a while now to let people know that she's going to be in a match at WrestleMania without a title on the line, but it's going to be a story that people will be invested in and be ready to see paid off at that point.
So let's say it goes down that road and you get Bianca Jade at WrestleMania. Who goes over? Who's the one that gets over in a feud like that? Because you could really hurt both of them if you make a little booking mistake here or there. Who would you put over in that whole thing, Phil? Yeah, see, there's a tough. It's not an easy question when you think about it.
It really isn't.
Because your problem is if Jade goes over, you push Bianca down the card. But then if Bianca goes over, well, you know, then everybody's all over Jade and blah, you know, tearing her apart. So this is that's part of the reason I'm not that big on those two fighting. But it's a tricky spot.
If it's Jade, it's because, hey, we put a lot of energy and effort and some money behind getting Jade here, getting her to be a star, like a different kind of level of star in the WWE. Okay, Jade. And that Bianca, who has, I'm using air quotes, grown up in the WWE system, she'll understand. Like, she's not going to be angry that she's lost this opportunity to beat Jade. I kind of what we went back to about our whole conversation about like the heels are getting over now. I think Jade going heel though would make people like just explode. I think they want to see that. So make Bianca the heel. Make Bianca be the evil one in all of this. That she's manipulating things behind the scenes because she's the glory hog. She's whatever. Put that kind of focus on her and let Jade be over with the crowd that can beat the evil Bianca.
Couple problems with that. One, Bianca doesn't want to be a heel. Bobby Lashley made it clear in a recent interview when they formed the Pride in WWE. One of the pitches is they wanted to bring Belair in with that group. Mm-hmm. She didn't want to come in because she didn't want to be a bad guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they're going to turn her. Two, Cargill is in her own comfortable skin when she's a heel. She is not a comfortable baby face. I don't think she plays a good face on television. She just brings off this aura that she's not a nice person. And I think she'll be more comfortable in the heel role. I think WrestleMania will come down to WWE in their terms of comfortability on how Jade has progressed in the ring as a solo act. If they believe she can continue to roll on and win a singles championship shortly after WrestleMania, I think they'll put Jade over. If they're still not happy with where she has progressed in terms of a singles competitor, they'll put Bianca over. And I think that really, I think WrestleMania is D-Day for Jade Cargill in WWE. You've either progressed to the point where they're comfortable pushing you as a top star in the singles ranks, or you're going to be lower on the card until your contract is up. I think WrestleMania will say a lot about WWE's opinion on Cargill and her future with the company based on who wins and loses that match.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. It is a difficult spot for Jade because they've got to have faith in her. I mean, if they don't, you're not going to put Bianca Belair down for her if you don't feel like Jade is going to be able to carry that. I mean, you could have a really good feud between the two, but the development of Jade Cargill is going to be huge in all this, man. I think you're 100% right on that for sure. So there you go.
Absolutely. It's one of those again. It's like, yeah,
sorry.
It's okay. It's okay, guys. So silence on radio is fantastic. But anyway, it's all good. But yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how all that turns out. But Matt, Phil, did you ever give me your pick on who's going to win the title though? Give me a pick.
Sorry. I'm going to go Bayley. I feel like they might do not old. Oh my God. They're going to do the reliable choice. I didn't mean that in regards to Bayley. I meant that in regards to the WWE's mindset. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Send that clip to Bayley.
The Boss and Hug Connection are going to be coming after you after the show. Oh my God.
You like it because I'm freezing and I'm just hiding behind it right now.
He has thrown Mercedes Moné and Bayley under the bus during this show.
Bayley. Oh no!
He's in so much trouble.
Do you have anything bad you want to say about Becky Lynch or Charlotte while they're at it, Phil Stamper?
I plead the fifth.
Oh my God! Come on! Say something about Charlotte should never win a world championship again. She's past her prime or something. Go ahead. God. We'll send that to Andrade. Come on.
She was pushed too early. That's the only thing I have bad about Charlotte Flair.
That honestly, that's fair.
Love Becky to death. I really don't have a bad thing I can think of off the top of my head to say about it.
I can't wait for Becky to be back.
Yeah, I agree.
Cannot wait for Becky to be back.
Yeah, she's apparently going to be back here pretty soon. There's rumors flying around. She's going to be sneaking out here soon.
Apparently in time for Netflix.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully Netflix doesn't crash, but we'll see about that. All right, well, before Phil Stamper says anything else to get him in trouble with WWE and ruin his chances forever to work for the company,
we passed that point.
I just want to remind everybody, if you would take the time to check out my good friends at Off Grid Creations, do unbelievable work, embroidery, T-shirts. If you want your logo on any item whatsoever, even Phil Stamper's forehead. You could do it. Just check it out at off-gridcreations.com. And, just tell Mike Frank over there that Mark sent you, and he will take great care of you. I promise. He'll do a full brand consultation with you and make sure that you are all squared away. And he does unbelievable work, like these Mark Hoke Show shirts that I'm sweating through right now because I'm a mess. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, you'll be glad you did. Off-gridcreations.com. Okay, I'm going to give Phil a chance to collect himself. and Matt, having these two guys on, it is radio gold, baby, no doubt about it. Matt Black from WrestleZone, Phil Stamper from the Wrestling Revolver, as long as nobody calls down a revolver and tells them to get rid of him too. And stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, everybody, we are back on The Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. Final segment, and I'm sure that there's people out there that are saying, thank God, because I don't want to get anybody fired or anything like that. Very happy to have Phil Stamper at Trust and Phil on X, and Matt Black from WrestleZone.com back on the show. Very happy to have Matty back. We missed you, buddy.
It's good to be back.
Phil is like, am I ever going to do this show again? I don't know. I bring out the best in Phil, I think. I really do. Do I?
You threw that poor man under the bus. You hurt him so bad he's muted again.
I should.
There you go. Okay, we got you. We got you.
That was weird. I wasn't muted. That
was weird.
I think Mark, did you mute?
No,
he muted you, dude.
Why would
Mark's
I do
the heel
that?
here.
Mark.
He's the secret heel.
I don't think it's a secret. Yes, let's rent space on Phil's forehead to do ads.
Come on, that was pretty funny.
Buddy, you're not too far away. I'm just.
Oh my God. This all hell is broken loose on the show, and for those that didn't hear, I am sick as a dog today, but I am hanging in there. And by the way, a good friend Gamer Bear says good stuff so far, very fun discussion and kidding around. There we go. See, we're having fun. So Gamer Bear in there, and let's see, Catherine Summers saying so far not bad. Well, what can we do better, Catherine? I mean, are we? That's one of yours, isn't it, Matt? It's one of your fans. No?
Don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't know her.
Well, we're happy to have Catherine Summers joining in on the chat box, so that's very cool. By the way, Jesse Hyde brought up another. Jesse Hyde, this one of our regular fans in here, is AEW fans going to say, where's Shane to Tony Khan if Shane O'Mac doesn't come to AEW and could come back to WWE to maybe confront The Rock? I don't know.
Shane's never coming back to WWE. And if he shows up in AEW at some point, he shows up in AEW. Like, I never understood. Everybody was like, oh my God, he's the guy behind the Moxley thing. It never made any sense to me whatsoever for that to be something that Moxley would want to go along with. So I never understood why people thought that was the logical conclusion, that Shane was going to be, the guy behind the Death Rider thing. It's always been Moxley. Moxley's behind Moxley. So, yeah, if Shane shows up in AEW at some point, cool. But I don't think it's something that the fans are going to be upset at Tony Khan for if it never takes place.
Phil, I mean, it's an interesting topic. Do you think that Shane should even show up?
I mean, one, never say never, but I agree. I don't think the spot is behind John Moxley. No, like Moxley is the leader in that scenario. Him in general showing up at AEW, I don't know. I thought we had passed that. I thought we were a little bit like, we talked about there was that buzz when they had their little meeting and then we moved on. I really don't want to say no to him ever appearing back in WWE. I feel like he would at some point. I feel it at some point. It's not. I don't think it's gonna be tomorrow.
I think Triple H would have to be gone for him to be back in WWE at some point.
I mean, I think there needs to be some more time. I think there's still too much about everything else that's been going on with his dad, and it's not in 2024 and not probably 2025, and depending on whatever Armageddon happens in 2025.
Maybe they induct him in the Hall of Fame at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting if Shane ever did make a comeback in WWE. But at the same time, I think that Shane has somewhat positioned himself as the anti-Vince to a point. And I think he was just put in a really tough spot because it was his dad. And you don't want to throw your own parents under the bus if you don't have to for any reason. But at the same time, it just seems like Shane was trying to get Vince's approval, but also hated a lot of the stuff that he was doing, it seems like.
I mean, him butting heads with his dad is what caused him to leave the company, back in 2008, I believe it was, to begin with. I mean, he left because they were just butting heads constantly. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get on the same page. They had very different viewpoints of where they saw the company going. And Shane knew that he was never going to win out against his dad, so he decided to just leave. So, and I know, his relationship with Hunter, it's not the best. And I can't see him back in WWE anytime soon, especially with the current regime that's in charge of things right now.
Yeah, I just think the name is just lightning right now. You don't want to mess with it,
right?
It would be a disaster. But yeah, keep trying, Jesse. We'll find him, Shane McMahon, around somewhere. I know Jesse wants him to come back someplace very badly. So thanks for the comment in the chat box. We certainly do appreciate that. I didn't get to touch on this a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to bounce this off you guys real quick. That Bill Goldberg is announcing he's going to be doing a retirement match at some point in 2025. I can tell that everyone's really excited about that, but he's going to do it. Guys, as much as I hate the name question sometimes, if you had to pick Bill Goldberg's final opponent, who would you put up against Bill Goldberg to wrap it all up? Matt, I'll give it to you first.
There's a very important caveat I need to ask you first.
Okay.
Is he going over or is he putting someone over? Because his opponent at that point is very different based on that answer.
Well, give me both.
All right, if he's putting somebody over, probably should be Gunther.
Okay.
I think they've already set the stage for that. If Goldberg's willing to go out on his back, and I'm not sure that the size of the ego that man has, I'm not sure that he's willing to go out on his back. But if he is, Gunther is the prime choice. If he's just gonna come in, have his retirement match, and squash somebody in 3 minutes and win, Karrion Kross.
Oh,
it doesn't really matter because he can feud with the Final Testament for a month and he can run through AOP and on the way to Kross, and he can squash Kross in 3 minutes at SummerSlam or something. I don't know. It doesn't. If he's winning, it doesn't really matter who his opponent is. I think it matters a lot more if he's putting somebody over who his opponent is, as opposed to if he's just going to come in and squash somebody and win.
All right.
And his heart shrunk 3 sizes that day.
Phil, who is it?
Oh, God. I'm kind of with a Braun Breaker. I think Gunther's established. I don't think he needs the Goldberg rub. A Braun Breaker, though.
I like that.
That was my choice, by the way. That was my choice.
That might be somebody he's willing to put over due to his relationship with the Steiners.
Yeah, and yeah. I felt like that would be a great full circle match back to the WCW days, back to the Steiners, and because of the styles that they wrestle, you're probably not going to have anything really bad happen in the match that someone's going to get hurt. I just keep thinking back to Goldberg and Undertaker and that disaster. I think that you have two very similar power styles going at it, And like I said, you get back to the Steiners and everything. You bring the Steiners in and coach it up a little bit and have a little fun. So, I mean, Braun Breaker would probably be my pick too.
Or, and this is the more on a limb one, like super on a limb.
Okay.
His son's 18. Son's playing football. He's not a scholarship player in Colorado. Do we get Goldberg 2.0? I don't want it.
I don't know. No. Look, if he wants to come in, if he wants to come in and go through the performance center and stuff, I'm perfectly okay with that. But I do not want him being his father's last match. I think that would be an utter disaster of epic proportions. Please don't do that. Please, wrestling gods, do not allow that to happen. I love you, Solo.
Well, there you go. So I think Braun Breaker's the call there. But good points, Matt. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if he's willing to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's heavily going to depend on his. To me, his final match is going to come down to his. If he's willing to swallow his pride and put somebody over, and I truly don't know if he is. Like, if you listen to his interviews and stuff over the past year, he still thinks he's the greatest thing ever.
You know what? Bring in Matt Cardona and let Matt deck him.
There you go.
That would be great. I think people get jacked about that one. And you know what, guys? What a fun show we had today here on the Mark Hoke Show. I want to thank Phil Stamper, of course, Coach Rosey, Josh Rosenbaum, and Matt Black from WrestleZone. We had a blast, and appreciate you guys helping carry me a little bit through this thing. Just an unbelievable day. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show.
You're very welcome, man. I hope you feel better.
I'll get there. And, of course, Phil is at Trust and Phil, and Matt is at Raw F Showtime, and, of course, catch all his work on WrestleZone.com. Guys, we'll see you next week. Hopefully I'll be in a little better state of mind, but we'll still have fun and laugh at Phil a little bit. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Have a good one.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit MarkHokeShow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.